we're on the internet.
Without a microphone.
Without a microphone, yeah. Apologies.
You gotta project today, guys.
Wait, what?
We
Apologize.
our Mr. Robot television program.
I can turn this up a little bit.
At a later date.
Oh yeah, crank
Can't
that.
speak of it now.
Crank it. Okay. Yeah. Well, it seems like it's picking up okay. It's not a bad microphone on this.
Just
It's probably not
you know.
worse than the usual,
use your diaphragm.
What if I'm
or only
like,
slightly worse.
Anna says we spend the whole time
was
screaming.
yeah, I don't think it
Well,
can hear me.
that's not an audio issue.
Some
That's
people
just-
think
It is when
we're
you're trying to
small.
sleep.
Some people think we're talking too loud. You know, it's really up to the listener whether you hear us or not. You can hear us if you want to.
Yeah, mute it.
You
Just
wanna
look
hear
at us.
Put the subtitles on.
Only.
Let's just stare at the camera
Yeah.
the whole 3 hours.
If someone wants to pay,
Internet.
if someone wants to pay me an hourly rate, I'll transcribe closed captioning for these
Well,
videos.
YouTube, I think, provides
there's-
comical
Yeah, it's
subtitles.
usually-
Oh, like
Yeah.
fake,
AI,
like just
with
AI,
with six people talking to, it's got to be
It's
fucking,
like blah, 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 blah.
yeah, just impossible. It's not bad if it's just one person talking. You still have to go in and like edit it. I guess I could always like run it through like Premiere Pro. I've gotten pretty good at captioning stuff, but it's still
Or let it ride.
yeah, absolutely, just letting it
We
ride.
should
Yeah.
print out the AI captions and then perform it as a table read.
That would be really fun, actually.
Oh, there's a table read coming up on Tuesday of a DuckTales episode and a Darkwing Duck episode.
Oh, that's fun.
Live table
Tuesday.
read
Oh,
at
yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
Mercury Theater.
What time?
Baltimore. Right?
What time?
Like 7, 8, I'm not sure.
Who's playing Darkwing?
Actor JPH.
I don't know who that is.
He was recently in. He was the secretary person in the online play that ended.
I loved that play.
Oh, thank you very much.
Does he go by letters or are you shortening his name?
No, he has a name, but his email address is actor JPH. And
So
I
that's just how
forgot
you
his
think about
name.
it.
It's a good name.
It's really good.
That's one of my college roommates. Like we just got so like his initials were MJG, and we just called him MJG all the time. And now he doesn't even use his middle initial, like in a professional context. And so I'll like hit him up and be like, "Hey MJG." Oh wait, you don't do that anymore.
So now he's just MG.
MG, I guess, yeah, or just Michael, I
He's
guess.
friends with Booker.
I do remember his name. I did live with him for a year, so
It's like Y2J.
Y2J, yeah.
It's a cool name.
Y2J.
It's a
Well,
wrestler.
in Memphis, the MJG, you get the MJG and 8-Ball reference, which is
yeah.
nice. So,
That's who MJG is.
JG.
the other classic Memphis hip hop,
Oh.
MJG and 8-Ball.
Hip hop.
The other,
yeah,
the
that's
other,
what kids are into.
the other thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about closed captioning is I was hanging out with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was telling me how he likes to do this thing where he'll do voice to text on his phone and just make random sounds, and it makes words out of it. Like he just makes nonsensical sounds, and then the phone decides what word it thinks it is, and then it's like this fucked poetry.
Like a glossolalia language? Or just
yeah,
like,
just kind of. I don't know. I don't think probably a lot of all of the above.
Jordan loves talking to her phone instead of just typing into the group chat.
It's great.
Oh, a lot of people do that. I mean,
Well, especially
It's
if
so
I have
alien
something-
to me.
If I have something long to say, I just started a
do you do voice memo or you do voice to text?
voice to
Sometimes-
text.
Sometimes the voice memo though too. You've
Voice
done
memo,
that
Oh yeah,
also.
sometimes I.
And it's an
sometimes
emergency.
I do
with the
that.
voice memo.
Yeah.
There's no
When I
time.
when
You
I
have to
really
listen.
when I really have to like rant about something, and it's always like somebody said, like I sent someone an email, and it said this in it, and then they replied something that was unrelated completely. Like that's but I'm like so angry, and I'm just like I'm sorry, I just have to tell you guys.
Like your voice to text is almost like a dialect, like Remora.
Yeah.
It does. You have to translate
has
it,
a-
and
it
we've
has-
done it. We've seen it for so long in the group chat that I feel like all of us know how to translate it.
Yeah, I'm just like
Because I
able
forget
to
to put in
read.
commas and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. It's just a stream where like half of the words don't make any sense, but it's kind of like when you're able to like. You know, like when the letters in words are rearranged, but the first and last are the same. Like you can
Yeah.
read a sentence where that like
Yeah.
it doesn't actually make any sense, but because of the shapes of the words,
Yeah.
you can kind of make it work. That's kind of what
My dad does voice to text. I feel like voice to text is a real like boomer thing. Like
It
that,
totally
they're like the
is.
main people who use it,
Oh,
and
you're-
my dad and his wife both do it, and they never proofread. That's the only thing is if people never proofread, and then like insane shit happens, or like also
misunderstandings. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah, there was like a big fight at the end of at the end of our last family gathering where it was like my dad's wife was doing this voice to text thing, and my dad was making commentary and like catty commentary in the background, and some of it got in the message. And she didn't read it. And then my sister-in-law, who's like prone to drama anyway, like blew up about it because it seemed like the message read like super passive aggressive.
Oh god.
That's really embarrassing.
And then my dad is an idiot, and he's just like, and his
This is
response,
Seinfeldian kind of.
his response, but then, and then my dad was like total Larry David. Like his response wasn't like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I understand how this could be hurtful. This was a typo." It was like, "You misread, like you're,
Yeah, of course.
you misread it, basically. Like you made
Right.
an error.
Right.
Like, well, it was a mistake, and
It's the
you're
children who are
and
wrong.
you're upset about nothing." Yeah,
Well, the reason I
It's on the
started
internet. It wasn't real.
yeah.
is because my hand hurt, like my arm hurt, and then so I just didn't feel like typing. So it's like I'm just good. And then
I don't
was
think the
like, this is
format
great.
itself is flawed. I just
Yeah.
think people don't proofread, and then messages are crazy.
Well, I
It's a
proofread
risky
after I
format.
send it, and then there's probably more annoying messages after that are like, "Oh, I didn't mean this. I meant this. And I
Yeah.
didn't mean that. I meant this."
Yeah.
So it's probably like.
It's like more work.
It's pretty entertaining. I'm not upset about it.
But
And
my
then-
dad
yeah,
does
it's
do
not-
punctuation, but what it means is sometimes the word period or the word comma is like in the
Comma.
thing.
Well, that's just wrong. That's not his fault, I guess.
He says the punctuation
Yes,
out loud.
that's how you do it.
Yeah.
When you're when you're dictating, you say like, and it's so funny when you're in the room with him
Oh.
doing it too, because he'll be like, "You're probably it's probably very different because you're probably like just talking,
Yeah.
like in your normal voice, like talking." And my
Yeah.
dad's like, "Would you like to go at
I know.
2? Question mark. I think we might come, comma, but we..." And it's just like so painstaking.
See, now
Way
Logan
faster
would do
than
voice to text
Way
when
faster than
we were trying to get to a cleaning job and he'd forgotten all the cleaning supplies, so every day. He'd be doing voice to text telling Jane, "I need these cleaning supplies," and he'd be fucking irate and it would get it all wrong, and he'd be like, "Ah! I need a sponge!" While he's trying to drive up on the sidewalk. Every day an adventure, Logan tries.
He works for Bonsai now. He's doing that in a different kind of truck.
Yeah. I forgot the Duchamp.
Yes.
What if?
Bonsai seems like maybe a little more chill. I don't know.
Well, he
More
posted
chill.
on. I'm sorry that I'm talking out of turn on the internet. He posted on Facebook that he was experiencing a hostile work environment at one point, a couple of years ago.
Oh, how could that be? I wonder why.
Are you talking about that one person's company?
That one person's.
Yeah, did you work for the cleaning company? We're on the internet right now. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone's cleaning.
His partner.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, he said that one was the hostile environment or the new?
No,
That's
the
the
I'm
Bonsai.
sure it's Bonsai.
The new. Okay,
The
gotcha.
new one
Gotcha.
is the-
Yeah.
I was trying to clarify.
Yeah, I
which
can't
company
imagine
was
He's not
hostile.
gonna put his
he
wife
would
in
ever.
class.
No,
Well,
absolutely.
that's why I was.
I doubt that it's a hostile working environment.
Yeah.
It's I never experienced it to be hostile, but it could be like intense.
Well, but
And you're like
any
in a
situation with Logan
Yeah.
is intense.
Yeah, if you have, like, if you're sitting in a truck with somebody all day, or even longer than all day,
all week.
and then
If you're on a
personalities-
trip, it's like
yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
a 5-day
And then-
trip,
Long
and you're
time, yeah.
in
Even
it
if
you're
your
with
personality
someone
is
like
aligned
24 hours a
perfectly,
day.
it's
Yeah.
gonna suck.
Mhm.
But
Like,
if
you know,
but
like,
if you're
even
a
if you're best
dickhead
friends,
who's gonna be
especially.
yelling all the time and
Well,
doesn't
he's just
realize,
stressed out. He just
Okay.
really can't handle it.
but like,
I've
I'm
run
gonna
into
say
him
that.
recently. He seemed less stressed.
Oh, that's
out.
cool.
Yeah,
He
I saw him.
stopped drinking and
I saw him the other day.
Yeah.
and He seemed pretty
Yeah, he
good.
seems like really healthy and like in a good place.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
it's good
What's
for him.
I think so.
Good for him.
They're on their longest ever backpacking trip right now.
Right.
That's
yeah.
100
cool.
miles.
They love to do it.
Damn.
They love to do
It
it.
sounds like
Not my kind of vacation.
fucking terrible.
Not
yeah.
my kind of vacation, but
My dad loves that. Like, my dad's almost 70. He's like, yeah, I got these 2 knee replacements. I'm gonna get back on the trail.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't.
Time to wear out my new knees.
2 knee replacements.
Yeah, you got both knees replaced in 1 year.
Oh, I wonder why.
Well, let's go
I'm well on my
Because
way.
he had no cartilage
Is
left.
doing stuff like that, is that good for your body or not? Like, that's what I'm...
It depends on your body.
Yeah.
I guess it
and,
is.
and the way that you do it.
Like,
It's
some
okay.
people, like,
How bad
exercise
your
their
body's
whole
got.
lives,
I will
so
say
that's
my
good.
dad
Some people exercise
is
their whole
not a
lives.
person
My
who's
mom
like
loves
very
it.
in touch with his body. He runs pretty rough.
Well, this is another classic boomer thing. Is like, and I mentioned this to my dad one time, and his response was like, "Yeah, that's about right." I was just talking about how I feel like our generation is more interested in like preventing damage, and promoting health,
Yeah.
and their generation is all about like I do what I want.
Right.
And then somebody else will fix it after I fucked it up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
either you medicate or you have surgery or like whatever it is, but it's not like
Control.
you're not gonna stop doing the thing
Yeah.
that's destroying you. You're
Every-
gonna just treat the
Or
destruction
do it
afterwards.
differently,
And
or
he
use,
was like,
properly.
"Yeah, I think that's accurate."
I talked to my dad is a terrible communicator. He talked this. I'm not going to try to make this episode about my issues with my father, but
Well, we can talk about our dads all day.
There's plenty of dad in
Oh,
this
it's
book
really
too.
good.
But he like every time I talk to him, which is like once every 2 months, he doesn't. He's like everything's cool. We talk for 5 minutes, whatever, and then I'll go and visit him, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've got this like."
Like I had a heart attack last week.
Yeah, I have this puncture wound in my leg that's been draining for 4 days.
Yeah.
And he just like won't tell me any of that shit.
Yeah.
And I yell at him every time. Like, you have to tell me
Yeah.
when you've hurt yourself. You're alone.
Oh.
I'm the one who's got to like. I'm the executor of your estate if you die. Like, I
Right.
need to at least know if you're like okay or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
Classic.
isn't he married or not?
No, he is. My mother divorced him, so that's.
Oh wait, no, he
I
has a
always
younger
thought you were-
girl.
Oh, he had a terrible younger girlfriend who he's now no longer with,
Oh,
which
good.
we're all very
Good for him.
Yeah,
Good for him.
no, it's not too bad at all. It's,
But
yeah, it is too bad. It is too bad for her. She was really getting a sweet deal out of it. That's okay. I didn't
well, I'm
like
glad
her.
they never got married.
Oh. I think my dad knew
Many
that.
people would have.
I think my dad knew that it would. He probably would have done it if my sister and I hadn't been like, Dad, she sucks. Like, you can't do this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Good for
he's
you
very
guys.
conflict avoidant. So I think he's like, well, if this is gonna make my kids mad at me, I'm not gonna do it.
You know what? I wish my dad was conflict avoidant like that.
Yeah. It has some benefits.
My
He's
dad
not
literally
listening
can't
for
think.
the right reasons, but he's listening.
My dad can only
He's
think
here.
about what's immediately in front of his face at any given time. Like if you're not in the room with him, it's like you don't exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like he's making his choices based on like exactly what's in front of him, and like the idea that it affects other people is like never. It's just like not. It's lost in the chaos. And then you're like, dude, did you think about how like you doing this would actually suck for us? And he's like, oh. And then he feels bad about it, but he like never like. It doesn't really matter because it's done, whatever it was. You know,
Yeah,
you're just
my
like,
dad kind of does that too. My dad's a good news guy. He wants to be
Yeah.
the guy who rolls in. Everybody's like, yeah, all right, this is fun.
Yeah.
No problems here.
Yeah.
No deep-seated emotional issues.
That's
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's
That's a
definitely,
dad vibe.
It's
definitely.
very dad vibe.
Like
That's a
everything's
dad meme.
cool, right?
Right.
Like it's cool, right? You guys like me, like I like you, like
like,
we're all good.
No, Dad, I've been mad at you for 5 years.
Yeah, like you've done some pretty fucking annoying things, but then you're just like, fine. Like you're still like lovable.
Still dad.
You're just
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
frustrating.
It's like hard to be mad long term, but I've really gotten good at it. So
At being mad long term.
being long term mad at my father.
I mean, I have these short bursts that like accumulate into a. I don't know. I feel like it's more like a resignation at this point. I'm just like whatever.
Yeah, I kind of hit a
Like
point where I'm like,
fatigue.
I'm not gonna change him. So
Yeah.
what's gonna happen?
Group
Cool.
therapy.
So that's
Anyway,
that's my
group
relationship with
therapy
my
with the
father.
wolf
Internet.
If only Gene was our father. All of our father.
In a way.
I wonder how that would go.
If we all
It's
grew
like
up in the same house under Gene
English,
Wolfe.
Scottish,
Celtic.
sort of. Yeah, I don't know.
Is Kirby a Celtic name?
I think originally it comes from Kirkby, which means like by the church.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, that sounds kind of Germanic, though. Kirk.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that I don't know
Which would
that
he'd probably be English.
I
Angles,
know
you know.
a lot less about my dad's side than I do my dad's mom's side. That's like I have a lot of the lineage for the mom's side, but not so much for the dad's side.
Yeah, my dad's side is really nebulous.
They kind of my dad's mom's side traces like I can go all the way back to like the
Jesus.
to Jesus.
Yeah, specifically.
To King Solomon.
To Jesus, the first Jew.
to like the Norse or something.
Cool.
Like the Vikings, basically.
Are you watching the rehearsal?
Oh my god, I was thinking the same thing. You said first Jew, so that's
that's where that joke is from.
My bandmates wanted to tell me about it, and in order, they were like, "There's no way I can describe this to you. We have to watch the first 10 minutes of the first episode."
Oh my God.
And we watched it.
that
and
doesn't do it.
it
It's
made-
not
no,
about
it-
that.
it
It's not-
made-
The show doesn't live up to its own premise.
It made me want to watch it, but I was like, but Kenny was out of town, and I was like, I'm not watching this by myself. That's like
It's
crazy.
scary.
That's sensible. And Kenny probably
No,
wants to watch
it's
it.
not-
No, it's not
It's
scary.
scary.
It's just like I feel like it's like psychological, and that you would need to talk to someone
It
while they
would-
were watching it.
It's
Yeah.
it's deeply cringe.
Yeah.
That's the. It's like.
No, not like that. Not like that.
Okay.
It's good.
No, not like
No,
that.
it's just
Thinking.
in the discomfort that you feel for all the people on screen at all times is incredible.
I don't like Ricky
Yeah.
Gervais.
The only
It's
thing
not
that's
like
not
that.
like
No.
Ricky
It's
Gervais.
not that.
The only thing they told me before we watched the 10-minute thing was it's like if Brian Nicholson had a TV show.
Brian
not
Nicholson has
endorsing.
anger,
No,
and Nathan
yeah.
has no anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like it's
I
More-
help myself this
More
morning.
neutral.
no, go for it. There's a filter thing, but
He's like
and the cup in the
conspicuously neutral.
I think I've watched
right,
the
right.
first
That's his whole thing. Yeah, he's like,
three
yeah,
episodes.
There's also
especially in
seltzer
last
in the
night's
first
episode
show.
or
Oh, the
whatever.
fourth
it was.
episode
Yeah,
is-
he's
Yeah, I
does
need
not
to
break.
catch up. I'm a
It's-
little behind.
He's even
Amazing.
aware of
It's
how
in the
neutral it
bottom
is.
drawer of
And it may even be what the
That's-
show's about.
Which side?
It's so. I mean,
in
it's
the
like
in
every
the
episode.
we
is-
don't
It's
Wait,
not
as a
about
new
it.
thing.
It's a
bottom drawer.
process.
We
It's
don't
literally
know
just a
who
process.
Nathan
is.
No, we don't.
People never
Open
know
the
who the
top
real
doors
Nathan
in the
is,
bottom
and maybe
drawer
he
of
doesn't
the
know.
Oh, word, I
But
did
You
feel
do get
like
to
he
see him
does.
with his parents. Did you see the most recent one?
No.
You do get to see him with his parents, which was kind of interesting.
Wow.
Like it's not too much of a spoiler. He's just like talking to his parents at a certain point, and like he acts like you would think that would like bring out a certain aspect of him that might be different, but I thought he was pretty much.
No, I think
The
he's
same
a
persona.
pro.
You think
And
he
knows,
he's all.
He definitely knows exactly what he's doing, and even like the production stuff that he does when he like calls people and stuff, and how he like is reading off the script and like doing
Right,
the laughs
like
and
a
stuff. Like
performance.
that's also a performance.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen his like original little
bit.
spots on Canadian TV?
Yeah.
He's way goofier, and I feel like you can see over the course of the three, like the Canadian stuff, and then Nathan for You, and then the new one, that he's like sharpened this character to like
Right.
a very
Yeah, I
fine
can see
point.
that.
Well, you also can't be as goofy on American television as you can on Canadian television.
I don't
Canadian
think the
television
show
is
it doesn't
insane.
see it.
It's
The
irregular.
tiny bit that I've seen of the show, it wouldn't make sense for it to be goofy.
No,
it's like
no.
the point is almost not to.
I think
Yeah.
it's Wolfian a little bit because it does constantly like
a lot of layers.
turn
Yeah.
your attention to the frame, and then like all of a sudden it's a new show.
Yeah.
Well, I am gonna watch it. I'm going to watch it. I plan on watching
then
it.
you
I
should.
just have to wait till Kenny's back,
it's
and
good
then
to
Kenny's
watch.
we're
I
gonna
don't
watch
know if
10
it's
minutes
good.
of it, and Kenny's gonna be like, "No fucking way," and then I'm gonna have to watch it by myself.
The first episode I put on Madison got really into The Sims recently, so she's been like she's just been like designing houses,
Yeah.
and it was like late at night, and she was like, I just want to keep doing this. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just like put this thing on. And so I watched the first episode while Madison was like
Yeah.
playing The Sims, and every now and then she'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening with this? Like,
If you
this-
know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Yeah.
If you don't, you don't.
Wait, have you watched past the first one then, Mark?
I've watched the first 2 or 3, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely. becomes it definitely cannibalizes itself.
It's evolving.
Every episode is kind of a different show,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
very seamless. How it's suddenly you're like in this whole new paradigm.
It
Right.
does
Fourth
seem like a
episode
thing that you
blew
would.
my fucking
the
mind.
little bit
Oh,
that
with
I
the
saw,
kid?
it does seem like a thing.
Yeah.
That you would
Yeah.
Like the whole, just the whole thing, the whole
It's theater.
episode. I was just like,
It's
this
theater.
is a new level
Like
completely of
acting and
every,
theater.
like,
I
yeah,
mean,
like
I do
Teen
that.
Wolf, where I'm
Yeah.
just like,
I think
how
you, I
did
think
somebody
it's a show
even
that you would
make
want to watch.
this?
Alright.
This is insane.
I'll check it out while
And I think
HBO
it
lasts.
does like how
He's a
it's-
genius.
Right? Yeah, get it
He
now.
is.
Meanwhile, the getting's good.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think I saw a
It's
tweet where
incredible
somebody was
that
like,
HBO
if he
is
did
close.
crime,
That's
we would all
insane.
be fucked. Like he could do anything he want if he wanted to do crime.
But he would need so many people on board with him. But he could do it though.
I think he could. Yeah.
You could just tell them they were doing something else.
We're so non-threatening, you know. Like,
Is that
just,
something?
oh,
Is that matter?
no, it's fine.
Okay.
It's just this demo software that I've been using keeps wanting me to pay money. I'm not going to.
I wish that I went on the show. I'm gonna see if let's see if anyone's online. And being like, why aren't you talking about Teen Wolf?
It does the thing where like
If,
Gene Wolfe,
if they're watching this show, they're not asking that question.
Gene Wolfe like teaches you new
Too
ways to
much.
read, and
Yes.
like Nathan teaches you new ways to watch TV.
Absolutely, and I was having that same thought reading this today. It occurred to me that this book in particular is about confusion in a way. Like,
yeah.
there's, like, and more so than any other adventure story. Like, this is definitely about all the layers of confusion and communication involved, which no other storytellers really do. They don't really devote time to, like, lines of communication and crisscross, people not understanding each other when they communicate and how that, like, reverberates throughout. Like, in other books, characters know what's happening, they communicate clearly, things, you know, like, if they don't, it's like a particular plot point, but it's like, it's buried.
Like, you know, if
Throughout
somebody's
this.
telling an untruth
Right.
most of the time.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. And, like, this is definitely about layers of miscommunication. Like, the fact that it's all written by someone is, like, the whole big thing over it, but even within the story, everyone is constantly confused and, like, at odds with one another. I don't know.
Their personalities are being changed and like modified like
Yeah.
as they go.
Well,
Yeah,
and
this-
ignorance. There's
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
knows everything
Right.
Yeah, that's the
except
biggest.
for Gene Wolfe.
That's the
Yeah.
probably
Maybe,
the biggest
arguably.
like, thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he might
And then-
even be loosening the reins, though, with this one in particular. You know, like, I feel like there's, you know, there is, we've talked about this before, like a fuzzy outer area to the logic where he's like, you know, and then that's where it extends past me.
It's funny because the confusion in Long Sun is like the reader's confusion because Severian doesn't say things and he doesn't say what he means and he doesn't.
He's ignorant of his own
Yeah,
confusion.
and he lies on purpose. And then in this book,
Obsessive,
I
yeah.
feel like the confusion is different because everyone's really upfront, and there's not a lot of mystery about the weird supernatural stuff that happens. Like people very frequently are like, "And you were possessed by this guy," and like nobody in here is like lying to themselves. Really, it seems like everyone's trying to figure it out, but the like fundamental forces are all jumbled up and fighting each other. So there's like no way to be.
Right.
It feels like
There's
there's
no way
not
to know.
there's not a lot of intentional obfuscation.
Yes.
Like I mean, like things are like sort of naturally obfuscated, but it doesn't seem like I mean, in New Sun, like Severian has an agenda. You know, like
Yeah.
he's trying to present a particular version of himself and leave out some bits.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course, he's not very good at that. So,
Well,
so-
Severian states, like, I know everything, basically. And Silk is just, like, accepting that it is not his to know what is happening. That is in the hand of gods and gods and gods.
right.
So, and I think that's reflected in how the story is told. That this is just about accepting, I don't know, accepting confusion versus denying your confusion.
Yeah, and it's easier, not easier, it's harder, but it's in the end better to accept confusion.
And it's funny that the man, like the one dude who accepts confusion and is like willing to learn a new thing anytime anything happens, is the leader of the social revolution.
But
That's
not
a
even really, he just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
He just didn't say no.
He's
he
like
just let it.
He just
is letting
happens
it
into
happen.
it.
He's the symbol. or
He's
something.
he's an instrument
He's-
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, which
But
is
An avatar.
a more
Yeah.
accurate way of describing, like, how certain people.
But then,
come
like,
to
the
power.
counselors, and even I think, like, maybe Incus to a certain extent, are trying to get the power, and they can't beat the dude that's just like, oh, I guess this is happening now. So what do you want to do?
Well, it's because people can relate to him because he's from like the smallest, most poor little area, and then there's the letter from Quetzal and Remora that's like, he's one of us. He's talking to the augurs, but like anyone else who saw that
Mm-hmm.
would, I think it would resonate with them still.
Yeah,
And
Well-
then people putting up the graffiti and stuff.
yeah. Everywhere he goes,
There is a
people
conspiracy
trying to help
supporting him.
Yeah, exactly.
The reason I was attracted to Silk as a leader the first time I read this book is because he seems to not wield his power, but facilitate other people wielding power,
Yeah.
which is what I think a leader should do.
He
Yeah.
also uses it when it's good to, like when he announces to the prison,
Mhm.
like, don't
Mhm.
fight. Everyone can just stop fighting. We're all on the same page now.
Mhm.
It's time to just like hang out. We can do this together. We all care about Byron, so let's just chill.
Yeah, in this chapter, when he writes the thing for Remora, he's just right immediately, like, doesn't think about it, and it doesn't seem like something he's thought about at all previous to this. But he just writes this thing out where he's like, these people have permission from me and from everyone else and it's kind of, I feel like it's a very strident thing for Silk to be like, if they get hurt, it's your fault. Like, that is a wild thing coming out of his mouth, and it just automatically does when he's writing that thing.
Yeah, like he knows. He kind of has an idea of like the right thing to say, but it's not. It's not like malicious manipulation.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably related to his genetic engineering.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like
He's-
it's like a knife, It's just
Yes.
like whoosh.
He's got
This is the
killer
thing.
instinct
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
lead.
it's like the moment, like the moment speaks to him in a
Yeah.
weird way. Like he kind of, even when he's like like doing large groups of people or whatever. Like he even sometimes expresses some like, especially early on in these books, he will get some interiority where he's kind of like unsure about things, but he's still very good at like just acting.
Well, 'cause he operates from need rather than desire.
Well,
You know?
also because my philosophy is that if you have like a solid core of good intentions and like just a personal philosophy, then you can like just stick to that. And it seems like his personal philosophy is like
He's on
for
his- he's on his
everybody
thing.
to like
This is what he does.
what do I mean? Like he just wants what's best for everyone.
Mhm.
Like as
And
many people as possible.
It's like the thing that put him in motion was, I need to save my church.
Yeah.
And like, it's still ultimately, I feel like the one major goal for him is like, it's got to come back to getting this church okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally different than the other people around him who are seeking like power over everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that thing's so amorphous, and it's really easy to get it wrong. Whereas like, I want to help the people I know in my neighborhood. That's like so tangible. I feel like it's better. It's like a stronger nucleus to be orbiting.
But he hasn't really thought about it much recently. Like it's kind of
Since things start
it's
popping
kind
off.
of like a film noir, or like a detective novel where it starts off
Yeah.
with one thing, like Chinatown, for example, but then it like is not at all about that. Like gets
Yeah.
bigger and bigger as it like
The end
gets
of
more
this chapter
involved.
with him and Hyacinth is very, I feel like maudlin film noir.
Yeah.
Like he's she's like collapsing in his arms, like, I've been looking for you, and
That-
he's like kissing her, and like, I gotta go.
I kind of wish that was handled differently. Yeah, when I was reading that, I was like, is there something weird going on with her? Like with
Yes.
Hyacinth? Like,
There
it
is.
must-
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I missed out on what that is.
We don't know what it is, but there is.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
She's just
Like,
lived an
I mean-
incredibly messed up life.
Yeah, she has.
Right. I mean, there's that, but I'm like, is that like it just didn't.
She's
It read
kind of acting
awkwardly.
like a robot in this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But well, she
She
is.
maybe
She
is.
is.
She's one of Kyprus's
She
favorite.
is a
Yeah.
people to
Kyprus,
take
like,
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's been a
And she's
victim
on
of
drugs all
serial
the time.
alien abductions for her entire life.
Yes.
So she's like that kind of.
And she's like on drugs most of the time, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So yeah, like maybe she's on drugs now. Like I don't know.
One
it just
should
seems-
assume.
it
I
just-
mean, it seems like people who are into Rust are either it's like heroin or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you know, it doesn't seem like something you use casually.
You think it's an upper or a downer?
that's a good question.
It's
It
an
makes you
opiate.
horny, right?
Well, it's.
It is an opiate.
I think it's an opiate,
Well,
right?
it seemed to have some like.
Oh.
We'd have to go back and look. I mean,
I guess it does have
She
a
describes the
little bit.
effects.
It does have kind of like.
Neil
other
talks about
effects.
it. Talks about how it feels. It seemed like it makes her feel very like powerful and confident. So it seemed like there's like a little bit of cocaine.
Yeah.
Could be
But-
kind of both.
Yeah.
There's not an entry for Rust.
It seems like,
Really?
yeah, maybe it starts
Oh, wait.
cocaine and then it ends
No way.
heroin.
Something like that.
Well,
It seems.
Does she say that it makes it
Oh,
easier
right.
to do her job as well?
I think so. Yeah, I think there's maybe.
That you don't care as much or something, and it makes you
Oh,
brave, and then
Nope.
Yeah.
the rust, I think, is what prompts
Last
Hyacinth
entry
to try
used to
to
be Rose.
use the Azoth on Silk. I think.
Yeah, she like
Right.
cuts her room open because she's
Yeah.
high. And then doesn't she tell him that it was like
Extra.
she wasn't trying to kill him, that it was like a joke or something?
I think so. Yeah.
I feel she explains it as being not a malicious act.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Do it all the time. It's just an Azoth.
That's really kind of interesting.
But
yeah,
we talk
she's
about
like this
how
crazy drug fiend. She's
she,
impulsive and she's
How
into
many-
self.
how many
She's
drugs-
a spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many
Which
drugs do we
fucks
think
you up.
Gene ever did? Maybe
Oh,
none.
Yeah, I think probably
More
I'm gonna
likely
guess
none
that.
than yeah.
Yeah,
Like maybe one San Pedro or something.
He
Oh.
drank and smoked.
Right.
I talked about this with. I saw Connor Stischulte a couple weeks ago. If he's watching, he watches this show sometimes. But anyway, yeah, we had to talk about this. Like, did Gene do drugs? My opinion is no.
Yeah, I feel like this.
That's just my opinion.
just seemed-
I don't have any.
I
Maybe
doubt it.
You know,
Oh,
maybe
he
he
was in
did
the
like some of the
military.
crazy prescription drugs that they had back in the day that we're not allowed to
Into
have anymore.
Quaaludes?
Yeah,
Well, that's
maybe.
what I was gonna say.
Potentially.
Was like also military. There's always things like speed going around and shit in the military. I feel like.
In Korea, you probably saw dudes on smack, right? Because isn't that a function of like the Korean and Vietnam Wars? As guys went over there and got addicted to
Vietnam more so than Korea. I think,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it just doesn't
That makes sense.
doesn't seem.
He
like
doesn't
the kind
seem
of
like a
individual
drugs guy.
who did drugs.
Yeah.
yeah.
it seemed like he was a conduit for the weird shit. He didn't need help.
Yeah.
Right. Like he probably read account. You know, like he read so much he came to
He's
understand
read Huxley.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
almost for certain. Right?
With all the transhumanism.
Yeah. Pretty up on that stuff.
The beginning of this feels like when Severian goes to the brothel and like the autarch is talking to him. I feel like that footman here talking to Silk feels like a throwback to that.
I think
episode.
I made a note that the garden. I don't think thematically it makes. I don't think it like actually is tied to it, but I was like, this garden reminds me of the garden
Yeah.
in New Sun, and maybe because the garden's connected to other gardens, maybe it is, but there's no reason. Doesn't make any
It
difference.
does like he does go into like biomes in the same way.
Yeah.
But
Distinct.
just to like
It's curious.
interesting that
Yeah,
you
it's
also
a- it's
were
a-
reminded of New Sun.
Mhm. I put that down too. I was like, oh, we're talking to autarch. Oh, now we're in that garden. Like, we're speed running the Shadow of Torture.
I love the description. Like I always get like more into something when the characters go into an interesting setting in Gene Wolfe. I'm like, oh yeah, nice. They're going into this cool indoor garden. Like we get to see like Gene's imagination going. You know, like
Yeah, I want to hang out in this garden. Like, it sounds
yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, it sounds great.
Really great.
I think Oreb says like good place.
Yeah.
Good place.
The flowers and stuff and the moth remind me of Clark Ashton Smith, who will just like go into some weird different color carnivorous fauna and flora for a while.
Yeah. He just walks through some blue flowers and a green moth flies into his face.
But before he gets to the garden, when he's in the Solaria, which is like giant and empty, this part where he talks about a table with a glass top scarcely bigger than the seat of a milking stool had held wads of crumpled paper and a sheet half covered with script, the only signs of human habitation. What is that? What are those papers?
I was wondering that too. It can't just be.
It's probably Remora. Who is it over there?
Oh,
Remora?
yeah, Remora.
Yeah, Ramora's waiting for him.
He's the Remora's the one, right?
So he's writing. What is he writing?
He's like, oh, I'm gonna write you a note. Oh, I'm gonna write you a note, and then he's like, all right, I'm just gonna give a message to this guy to like talk to you or whatever instead.
I mean, he's writing. He's just looking for the right word.
Yeah.
He's writing a word and crossing it out and writing another
Yeah.
one. You know.
When he can't talk to somebody, he's got to do it on a piece of paper. Huh?
That makes sense
You know.
for his character, I think.
Yeah. That's like the physical thing he leaves behind.
Because he's like, when he's talking about like, I was at the bar and then I didn't know if I should do this, and then I saw you come in and I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll just have this guy tell you. Like, so I could see him being someone who like rehearses something in his head a lot, or him being like, maybe I'll write him a note and leave it. I don't know. I can't tell. And then, well, yes, I will. And then like you leave it again.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the hotel is open. I feel like that's just kind of an interesting thought. You know, like while there's a rebellion in the city, you know, like this upscale hotel, like you know, it's still operating. You know, and the staff is still showing up, and they're like,
He's like, we have
we're
little
really slow
patronage
today.
tonight,
Right,
sir. The
right.
unrest.
right.
Unrest.
Well,
an
it's like
interesting idea.
the difference between like the upper and the lower. How like it's quiet here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relatively quiet. I think maybe he mentioned somebody outside, I can't remember. But like, also this is a place where people have clandestine affairs, so like, by nature it would be open 24 hours, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, no one's really there. It's just, they're like, I guess no one's really coming. Like, because they probably, it probably is dangerous for someone to travel from their house or something, but otherwise,
Yeah.
But like spies meet here.
yes.
You know, that's why Hyacinth is setting up the meeting here. So like,
It's
I think this place
private.
probably serves a function in the
That's
war.
yeah.
That's-
They're like, we have to stay open.
All the
Yeah.
alcoves and the little meeting spots,
The
like,
military people.
It's probably wired for sound at a lot of places, right?
Yeah.
They got glasses where you can't see them.
oh yeah, that
Hidden his
He-
ponds.
he makes a specific point to say that the Flexipia's mirror is not a window, can't be used for communication. And I guess if you were a spy meeting people places, like that would be a landmark.
Yeah.
But if there was a fucking
But, yeah,
telephone right there,
and the deal is like the mirror is not the glass, the water's the glass. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like you look at the mirror and he's like, no, there's no glass here, but it's the other thing that you're not looking at that is
Yeah.
the glass.
I missed that completely.
wait, did it?
Because of the misdirection.
Yeah, and that's what the point of it.
Oh, when they look at themselves, and then he said that they
Mm-hmm.
seem to stay there. Interesting.
And also, when she's like, "I want to see us together," I feel like that's like the person like
Oh.
get in the shot
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Completely missed that.
Oh, but then also the mirror and the lake and then the fish and stuff is very much like in the when the Severians seeing the sails, or the mirrors that make the fish come out. Like
Yes.
that image of the two
Yes.
reflections was like also very
Shit.
like there's so
Fuck.
much in here that's made me
They've been
feel-
captured and taken up to me.
Interesting. I guess.
Shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's right, Jordan. Fuck and shit.
I've read this like 3 times.
There's a lot of comedy. Like you were talking, like the comedy of them trying not to call each other Patera in your cognizance is really funny because just the two of them talking. It
Right.
shouldn't be obvious that they need to do that, but they're both like
It's like what's the
prudes. So they're like, we're in the whorehouse, nobody can know.
Like in Sister Act, when the nuns are in the casino looking for Whoopi Goldberg. Sister Act fans in the crowd tonight?
Oh, I've seen it like 100 times, but when I was like 10.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It
So
holds up.
if you-
It's
so
still
if-
really good.
If
Harvey
you explain
Keitel.
what you mean, I'll know.
Right,
I
right.
love Harvey
Sequel's
Keitel.
got a good title. Back in the Habit.
I haven't watched this.
You haven't even seen it.
I haven't.
It makes sense.
You,
It's not very
you
good.
ride for the first one, just haven't gotten around to the second.
Yeah, well, I was older.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. There's I
Well, I was like the first one came out when I was in middle school, and I'm up to go see a movie with my mom. The second one came out when I was in high school, and didn't want to have anything to do with my mom, so I just never got into those.
A high school, that's not a movie for a high school boy.
But you've
anyway.
watched the first one since then.
Oh yeah, because I fell in love with it.
It's a great movie.
You could also watch the second one. Then. It's all good.
It's not that good. It's not as good. It doesn't capture the same magic.
You can tell because there wasn't a 3.
Mm.
There's probably a 3. Come on. There's not
He's a
I have no
truther.
idea. I have no
I
idea.
know. I know.
I
He's a
bet it's out
truther.
there.
I'm
They
concerned that the
need it.
second one is
Sister
more
Act
a
3 is
vehicle
really
for
good.
Lauren
Sister
Hill's
Act
budding
3.
career than the Motown music that I was interested in.
It's more about. I think it leans heavier on the hymns.
Not the hers.
As for the Lauryn Hill thing, maybe I'm not sure, but there might. They were probably trying to launch a couple careers with that. I'm gonna guess, but it's more like, oh, I'm going to like that kind of movie. I'm going to a school. It's not like, oh, there's this interesting premise of the
Right, yeah.
No, it's just like a standard, like, go to a city school and show the kids something new and help them find themselves. And it's like, so
Yeah.
it's fine. It still has Whoopi Goldberg in it.
Whoopi Goldberg.
I'm just moving chronologically to the places I underlined. And the next one I have is also, I feel like, a funny moment where he's like, wait a minute, what time is it? That guy's like, I have no watch there. And Silk goes,
He's like, duh, yeah, I don't have a watch.
of course not. Yeah, we don't have watches. Because he's like doing that Silk thing of like,
Yeah.
putting himself in someone's shoes. And he does it so fast here where he's like, yeah, why did I expect you to have a watch? I don't have a watch. Why would we have watches?
But then it's funny, like, the guy's like, oh, but I did look at the